So can you share with us your perspective on that, on where we are right now in this climate, especially with this administration and everything that's going on within the school system? Can you give your perspective on it? Like, okay, let me just kind of, give us like some cliff notes on what you feel that needs to change. What is the current climate, and the current bullet points of what the climate is like right now, and what are your suggestions of how we need to change it or how we need to improve it?
That's a lot to unpack.
I know,
So
yeah.
initially, when the current administration mentioned they were shutting down the Department of Education, we all educators and everybody immediately was like, "Oh my God, we're not going." I'm gonna be honest, I'm not going to have a job. But I had to step back and understand, what does that mean. It didn't mean that he dismantled the whole Department of Education. He basically kept a couple of people in there. And it doesn't mean that special education is done away with. Right now, and be honest, we in a right now everything is business as usual. Nothing
Mhm.
has been communicated to us, me as a teacher, a special education teacher, from the state. So nothing has been communicated from the federal to the state, and from the state to the district, from the district to us yet. However, the current district that I work for is very conservative with funding. Meaning you're not going to see a lot of raise or a lot of funding for this, because we're whatever money that they do have, they want to keep a hold of it to make sure we're able to ride this wave out, whatever it may
Mhm.
be. Not so many other districts are so lucky that they were conservative with their funding or with their money, meaning we don't know if we're still going to get the same amount of money from the state, from the federal yet. Nothing has been communicated. So right now we're operating in a space of uncertainty. Now, if I had to
Mm.
speculate, in every district, every school, every classroom is different on how they address special education. It depends on if your school leader, meaning if your principal, have an understanding of how special education works, as far as how much money they're going to pull into that to make sure those kids get what they need. Just being in education for over 16 years, special education has always taken the back seat when it should be given the front.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
but that's how it has been, and we've always been treated at the back seat. Meaning all the money is not being, scheduling
Allocated.
supposed to be
Mm.
scheduled around your students with disability, but it's not so. And again, it depends on the school, because it's a case by case. Um, from what I see, I can only speculate. It's not the gospel. Eventually, unless you're if you're high functioning, you're gonna, regardless of your disability, you probably be in the classroom of uh,
General
general
class.
ed.
Mhm.
But then you're not gonna create more than one classroom. So you're gonna have a classroom full of special ed students and maybe three or
Mhm.
four general ed kids. So therefore, you're creating a program classroom, which that's out of compliance. And then your program classrooms are those kids that are cognitively, intellectually, not able to function in a general ed
Mm.
class. I think that's where we're going to head to. And then something I've always said years back, I think there needs to be a total overhaul of how education, special education, is treated. I don't know what those answers are, but I think in the coming years we're going to see a different approach of how it's going to be handled and addressed. I don't think it's going to be for the better though. So
Mm.
as a parent, I will always advise parents. Again, something I've always told my kids. It used to be the work. It used to be the rich and poor. Now it's that gap is starting to widen, and now you have the working poor. So if you have money, those parents are funding, and if you don't have the money, then you have to roll the dice and take a gamble in the education system and hope you get good
Mm.
leaders.
Hopefully. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So let me ask you, so what would be your ideal approach, as given what you just mentioned right now? What will your ideal, not not saying that it will happen, hopefully it will, but what will be ideal resolve to all this? what it would be? What would that look like to you?
I think students that can, based on the actual need of students, that's where funding should be at. Meaning, if a student is able to function, if their least restricted environment is a co-taught classroom, let's have a co-taught classroom. But if their least restrictive environment is something other than a resource or self-contained classroom, we need to be able to fund that. But because of funding, kids are not being identified or play, or excuse me,
Right,
they are identified, but they're not placed in the right
right,
placement. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So let me also ask you, given you mentioned that I think it's what you mentioned, and like I think it's the foundation will start off is making sure the children are placed where they need to be placed based
Correct.
on their based on their efficiency in this or
Their
their
need.
delays in that,
Yeah.
right, based on their need,
Yeah.
but
And
also
then
but
we have the
now
funding for that.
and that plays a part because that's why you have a lot of that's most of the reasons why teachers are going are leaving us, and that's another issue,
Mhm.
the lack of qualified teachers. Because we see it like nowadays. I mean, these teachers are just out of control. I don't know what's worse, the students or the teachers. So it's like I go on social media and you have these substitute teachers or these teachers that are trying to be the student's friend, or these teachers are getting attacked by these students. So
Well, because these principals,
yeah,
the schools are not supporting. So
right,
these kids, I'm gonna be honest, these kids feel like they can actually say or do anything, and who gets in trouble? The teachers
right,
get in trouble.
hmm
So therefore, you put my job at risk. Thankfully, the kids that I work with um, have some type of reverence or respect towards me. Um, but there was times where a kid lied on me, and my principal did not. And there was another teacher standing there was witness, and I did
They
not.
didn't back you up.
They didn't. The
Mm.
student the teacher did back me up, but the
Oh, they
principal
did.
didn't back me up
Oh, and
because
that's
they
even
now,
worse.
yeah, so they go by
Mm.
what the kids say, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
clearly the kid was lying. Um, so it's sad. So I'm always in the back of my mind say, what is my plan B? Because in the event that we not protected, I have to have a plan B.
Right, and that's the problem. These teachers are not protected,
Mhm.
and I think there's not enough resources to protect them, and there's not enough resources, like you said, to allocate, and delegate where these kids belong. And so now this whole system is, so that's why I'm just really, like I said, I tip my hat off to you. So I want to just give you your want to give you your flowers,
Oh, thank you.
because because I mean just 'cause like I said, just sharing your journey and just sharing um how much you mean to these children, and you being one of very few teachers that are able to reach some of the children. But it's unfortunate that like I said before, not everyone, not all the children are going to get that same advantage. They're
Right.
not or they're not going to benefit from a person like you. So I want to and given that, can you offer some type of encouragement towards some of the teachers and parents out there that are struggling right now, having to place their children and making sure they get the proper education that they deserve, and they feel discouraged because they feel like the children are getting what they need. So can you just kind of offer some advice and encouragement to those families and teachers?
Okay.
You know,
Well, to my
like,
teachers, there are quite a few great teachers out there that are in the trenches. I will encourage teachers to remember your why. Days that you want to
mm,
give up, that you
mhm,
want to quit, remember your why and allow your why to fuel the passion that you once had. For those families who was like unsure about putting their children in the public education system, I want them to understand there are a lot of teachers out there that is very passionate and will
mhm.
teach like their hair is on fire. That's a book
Oh,
um,
okay.
that will definitely teach like they're teaching their own children. So I will always encourage my families to partner with your teacher. It's not all on teachers to do the heavy lifting.
Mm,
Our
mm,
job is to the baton is passed from home to us and then back to home, back to us. So it's a thing that we have to have a constant communication, constant collaboration, and working to make sure our babies are getting what is needed. It's teaching the holistic child. We
Yes.
can't do it all, families can't do it all, but if we continue to work together, constant communication, we can get the babies where we need to be. So I would
Mm.
encourage them. Yeah.
Well said. No, well said.